Welcome to the San Francisco Public Library Commission meeting for May 21st, 2026. The time is 4:30. I'm Margot Schaub, and I serve as the Commission Affairs Analyst. This meeting is being held in person in the main library Crett Auditorium, and members of the public can observe the meeting using Zoom by following the link in the library's event calendar or by calling 1-877-853-5247 and entering an ID number 938-4498-1036. While the city welcomes public comment on its operations at commission meetings, city policies, along with federal, state, and local laws, prohibit discrimination against or harassment of city employees based on race, sex, and other protected categories. Discriminatory or harassing comments, even from third parties, may create a hostile work environment if severe or pervasive. Members of the public who are attending the meeting in person may provide public comment for up to 3 minutes for each discussion or action item on the agenda. Library commissioners in attendance are President Calhoun, Vice President Jones, Commissioners Bolander and Menon.
Thank you.
And Keniston.
Hey, right on. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome to the May 21st, 2026 meeting of the San Francisco Public Library Commission. We will start with the Ramaytush Ohlone land acknowledgement. The area now known as San Francisco is the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the original peoples of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place. We recognize that we benefit from living, working, and learning on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First People and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the Library Commission website or at the back of the room. Today we have a total of 4 agenda items. Item number 1, we turn to general public comment. At this time, members of the public attending in person may address the Commission on items of interest within the Commission's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. The public can address today's agenda items when that item is called. General public comment is now open.
Yes, good evening. Stop the hate, stop the ignorance. Don't give money to the Friends of the Library. Don't accept money from the Friends of the Library. And yes, this is the second part of my 2-part statement. Have you ever wondered why general public comment is first on your agenda? Well, it is kind of a long story. When I was first in the library, I noticed some issues. I addressed myself to the city librarian's office and asked if there was something like a library commission, and I was told that there was not. After several months, I discovered that there was. There was no opportunity to ask a question at the meeting, and I attempted to approach one of the commissioners after the same assistant city librarian who had denied there was any such meeting blocked my path, herded me out the door with his fists clenched like an animal. I was shocked. At that time, the commission had a ritual closing with the phrase, "Is there any further business to come before this meeting?" Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned. I tried to speak at that point, and people just got up and left the room. Even in those days, even the staff was recognized by raising their hands, but I couldn't be recognized. I instantly understood that if my presence was going to be positive, I could not represent social disruption. I had to represent respect for civility, and I attended this meeting for well over 2 decades without speaking. Finally, the commission was forced to put public comment on the agenda, and it was an issue in one of my lawsuits. I explained to the court that the Library Commission put public comment last on the agenda, and the ritual closing was the president would say, "Having lost our quorum, the meeting is adjourned." Of course, the vast majority of the time before general public comment was reached. At that point, the city attorney came to you and said, no, we are officers of the court. We can't stand in front of a judge and claim that you are decent, well-intentioned citizens. It's just too embarrassing. And you're going to have to put public comment first and always provide it. And that's what you do, but not willingly. Now, you know what I thought. I had hopes for the future. I thought that someday I would stand in front of a group of mature adults and we would be able to agree that the library was a better library if it was more democratic, and that no one had a right to tell that 20-something young man that he was too young and too poor to come to a library commission meeting. Well, I know that you can appreciate I've given up on that hope. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Natalie Enright. I am a San Francisco public librarian, and today I'm speaking in my personal capacity. I want to speak about the April 16th Commission meeting. During public comment, a speaker used a racist slur while criticizing the president of this commission. I recognize that an effort was made in the moment to intervene and redirect the meeting. The speaker was muted and the meeting continued. But as a Black librarian watching that meeting, what felt difficult was that the intervention appeared focused on process rather than impact. What was difficult for me was not simply that the comment occurred, but that after a brief interruption, it felt as though the meeting returned to normal without acknowledgement of what had happened. The speaker was able to continue participating later in the meeting, and there was no visible acknowledgement of what had occurred or of the impact that hearing that language may have had on Black staff, Black patrons, Black commissioners, or members of the public. I'm not asking the Commission to eliminate criticism or disagreement. Public institutions should be places where difficult conversations can happen. But I do think that there is a meaningful difference between protecting public participation and appearing indifferent when explicitly racist language enters one of our most visible public forums. Libraries ask communities to trust us. We speak about belonging, access, dignity, and civic participation. My hope is that we can together work for a future where responses can do more than restore procedure and instead acknowledge harm and affirm that racist language is not treated as business as usual. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment?
Good afternoon. I'm Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association, P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544, and also Library Users 2004 at protonmail.com. I would like to see a great deal more of this commission dealing with and hearing about what the library is doing to promote and to make visible what its considerable assets are, in particular with respect to books and other printed materials and owned databases and such. I don't find in the library programs, I don't see publicity with respect to what does the library have? What about databases? What about books? What about books on various subjects, on books and other, if you have, for example, newspapers and magazines, very valuable and much used. I don't see even counting the use of periodicals and magazines when they are just browsable and not borrowable. I'd also like the library to make much more clear what's going on with tech. I have talked for over 3 years about Frances Haugen, that's Haugen, the whistleblower from Facebook, whose basic testimony at the Senate and information that she provided to publications like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, one might summarize as saying, Facebook prioritizes profits over safety. I showed you last time this Wall Street Journal headline from March 26th, Meta, YouTube found addictive, harmful. And the lead is a 20-year-old woman prevailed in a landmark social media trial against Meta Platforms and Google's YouTube, in which the companies were accused of designing their apps to be addictive and harmful to adolescents. I think you need to consider that when you're uncritically saying "get social!" with no indication of problems or potential problems, such as here, one of the two appearances at the library. There are many other problems with social media and the internet, and one of them I think is not very well understood by the users who you encourage to use all kinds of internet activity, and that is how the public is the product and helps strengthen and enrich by their use, and loss of privacy is the cost.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm going to start with a rhetorical question. Have any of you ever been accused and deemed guilty of something that you were totally innocent of? If you have, you would know it would be a stressful situation, and you would feel helpless and aggrieved. Well, that's what happened to me recently here at the library. I was at a branch, and I was approached by a security guard telling me that I had been suspended. And he said, "You were in a particular branch at a time?" I said, "No, that's not me." He said, "I have a picture." I said, "Well, it can't be, because it's not me. I wasn't there." And he persisted, and I imposed upon him. I said, "Do some inquiry, please." So he went away and did some inquiry and came back to me with a bill of particulars of all the things I had done at this other branch. And I kept repeating, "Well, it wasn't me. It can't be me." And so he said, "Well, you can appeal that process, but in the meantime, he would suspend me." Well, having a little bit of information, I didn't identify myself to him, but I did go off to the branch that he said was the branch that had the issue, and I went there. I talked to the librarian at that branch, and he said, "No, you're not the person. You look a little like him, but you're not." And and the librarian spent about maybe 20, 25 minutes on the phone talking to, I don't know who he talked to, different departments. He was very helpful, and he was very considerate and sympathetic, and I appreciated that, but it didn't resolve my problem. So the next day I did go back to the first branch, and I motioned to the security guard. I asked him to come out, and I said, "Look, I think you're wrong. You owe me an apology." And he got sort of indignant and said, "Look, you're being aggressive, and that's kind of indicative that you must be the offending party. And so I can suspend you for being aggressive to me." So I'm running out of time, but what I'm coming before you to do is to ask for your assistance to hopefully request from the city librarian or his direct reports to meet with me, and I can to discuss this and maybe have this situation better investigated. Subsequently to my last statement is the security guard did suspend me and for one day, which wasn't consistent with what the original complaint from the other branch was. So I appreciate that. I would hope maybe you would have someone talk to me. I can give you my contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Shauna Sherman. I work on the General Collections and Humanities Reference Desk on the third floor of the main library, and also as the program manager at the African American Center. So when interviewing for any of my jobs as a librarian, the one question I'd always dreaded was, how do you deal with somebody who's talking loud or otherwise causing a disturbance at the library? It was a hard question for me because in those kinds of situations, I often didn't know what to say or do when confronted with loud people, violent people, and in some cases, hate speech. But over the years, I've learned to do my job and rely on our patron code of conduct when someone's behavior disrupts the peace at the library. As a Black staff person, I have felt the harm when someone has used the hard R with me when I am trying to do my job. And I know it's not just me, and it's not just the hard R that's a problem. I've heard slurs addressed to other colleagues of color in the library and to my LGBTQIA+ colleagues as well. When I worked with the Racial Equity Committee, staff reported this harm, and I remember asking our security team if there was anything we could do, and was glad when I was pointed to our patron code of conduct, specifically Violation 6, and our annotated code of conduct, which we refer to when learning how to do our jobs. I want to read Violation 6 here today. Using obscene or threatening language or words otherwise likely to provoke an immediate violent reaction, which includes any language, tone of voice, body language, etc., that makes staff or patrons feel threatened. And according to the annotated code of conduct, this includes all hate speech such as homophobic, anti-Semitic, and/or racist language, as well as sexual harassment. First offense, 3 months suspension. As a dedicated employee at SFPL, hearing the hard R as I listened to the recording of last month's meeting was jarring. We say libraries for all, but when I heard that, I felt unwelcome in the space where I spend a majority of my time. Thank you for turning off the speaker's microphone as the comments were inappropriate. I didn't get to hear what happened next, and I'm left wondering, what is the procedure for such a gaffe in this public forum? I was compelled to speak today to put on the record that when we encounter hate speech on the library floor, we don't tolerate it, and also ask that people not use such harmful words in the library. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Manali Javeri-Weeks, and I serve on the board of Friends of the San Francisco Public Library. I want to provide you all with a brief update of our work. First, we want to say thank you to the San Francisco Public Library and our partners at City Arts and Lectures for a wonderful event last week with actor and author Jeff Hiller. The partnership made the event at the Sidney Goldstein Theater possible and free to anyone with a library card. We're grateful for the collaboration and had an incredible turnout. In terms of fundraising, Friends has officially launched our end of fiscal year fundraising campaign. This year's theme is Your Next Chapter Begins at the Library. The campaign features artwork by local San Francisco artist Angela Chu. We're excited to share it with the community soon, and it will be completed in time for our book sale block party. Speaking of which, our 4th annual book sale block party is happening on Saturday, June 6th. The event will be from 12 to 5 p.m. with a special member preview at 11 a.m. We hope to see you there. The day will feature over 20,000 books and media for sale, and the SFPL Bookmobile, community readings at the Parkside, and should be great for all ages. Thank you for your service and continued support of the library and Friends, and for the opportunity to speak.
Good afternoon, Jason Gibbs, retired librarian. Grok AI has this to say about Mayor Daniel Lurie's vision of the library. Lurie's approach appears to be supportive stewardship rather than a transformative overhaul. He appoints capable leaders, funds and promotes popular literacy programs, and publicly values the institution as part of San Francisco's civic fabric. The mayor's vision is of 2026, not 2030, and is backed up by the overwhelming support for the library and its staff in surveys and at the ballot box. People like the library they have. In 2019, I was interviewed on the public radio and podcast 99% Invisible episode entitled Weeding is Fundamental. I worked at SFPL in 1996 during the scandal when famed author Nicholson Baker wrote an article for The New Yorker calling out the library for hurriedly dumping hundreds of thousands of books. On the broadcast, I presented a different perspective than Baker's. I'm certain that book dumping happened, but not within my department. I saw no evidence that city librarian Ken Dowland, who was fired from his job a short time later, ordered the dumping. I also noted that there was a real need to continually review the collection and withdraw books. The issue in 1996 is that this happened in a hurried, thoughtless manner. I told a story of redemption, however, how I and others on the library's collections committee, a committee since disbanded by the city librarian, worked on creating guidance and training to assist librarians in managing their collections. I felt sure that our days of book dumping were over. You may recall a January 2024 commission meeting where you were introduced to and had a lively debate about the new strategic plan. Memorably, Commissioner Susan Mall, before she was metaphorically thrown off the dais, noted that the plan did not match up with the facts on the ground, specifically meeting the physical space of the main library. Surprisingly, in the next and final iteration of the strategic plan, a Latinx affinity center for the main quietly appeared. You all never uttered a word about that center. However, it looks like it's possibly at the heart of a new round of book dumping. The city librarian aims to dismantle 13 ranges of open shelving and possibly discard up to 20,000 books in order to create this new space. This is valuable open browsable shelf space in a building with vast numbers of books kept in unbrowsable closed stack shelving. You should review the appendix accompanying the final strategic plan. It included interviews with Spanish speakers in the committee about their service needs. They suggested that demographic data be used to place libraries where there are underserved communities. They said there are many services at the main, but most other libraries do not have the same offerings. The center is evidently being created as a step to right-size the collection. At the national level, under our current president, the Forest Service is cutting 57 of 77 regional offices, resulting in thousands of layoffs. They call this right-sizing too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Yes. Thank you, Margot. I just wanted to speak to the concern that Natalie and Shauna just raised, because we were all here in the room when the slur, the offensive language was used. So we're all trained as supervisors. Shauna and I work together, is that we have a code of conduct. And when something happens like that, if I'm at my branch, I would go and address the behavior directly. I would speak to the patron and share with them the code of conduct. Usually it's on a blue piece of paper. When I was back there, I actually reached for my bag to get it, but I don't have it on me. So we're trained in these processes. I think part of it is this is not appropriate. You can't say that. This is not, it's verboten. Additionally, there's an educational element, right, to let the patron understand you can either correct or leave. And like Shauna was sharing, there's the annotated code as well. So I think it's a very valid concern. Offensive language was used. It needs to be addressed. In that form, we were all outraged, right? I mean, it was clear. But the next step is to address it. Now, I know as a speaker, a lot of times when you're coming up here, you see this clock and you're ready, your mind is focused on, a prepared statement or your thoughts. So it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's repulsive and you're distracted and you're like, it's not my place to address it, or is it my place to address it? But I think now that the concerned got to me before I could say it, is that it's now open to be able to discuss, like, what do we do in that context? Do one of us just get the code of conduct, address the behavior? Because as a supervisor, that's what we do. I think in a bigger sense is, I think for those of us in the branches who don't have guards, this is part of our day. And it can happen multiple times. So when you see me coming up and talking about safety and how things go, it contextualizes what you felt in that moment is what we can deal in oftentimes in our experience. And I think other people in this room can identify with that, because you go to work, you have, you're thinking about your day, your staff, about what needs to be accomplished, and then something happens, and then, you have to write an incident report. So that's another part of it. So I know I've talked, but I think you get what I'm getting at. We should address how we want to deal with this per future happenings.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Afternoon. My name is Nicholas Rusinoff. I'm Veterans Affairs Commissioner for San Francisco. Memorial Day is coming up, and I just wanted to stop by and extend my deep gratitude to what the San Francisco Public Library does for veterans at the bridge on the 5th floor. I appreciate everything you do for our veteran community, and I just wanted to extend my deep gratitude and say thank you all for helping veterans get adjusted to San Francisco and be feeling welcome all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Are there any additional public comments? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Thank you. Item number 2. We turn to discussion of programming and exhibition highlights. And at this point, I turn the conversation over to our city librarian, Mr. Lambert.
Thank you, President Calhoun, and good evening, library commissioners, library staff. Appreciate this opportunity to present on our Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month activities, as well as our 2026 slate of exhibitions. Jen Wu is our Family Engagement Coordinator, and Allison Wyckoff is the Director of Exhibitions. They will be co-presenting. Jen?
Oh, wow, okay. Okay. You're up first. To know if things were turned around. Thank you for inviting members of the community programs and partnerships to present at today's Library Commission meeting. As you will learn from our multifaceted presentation, the CPP team is busy engaging visitors through different modalities designed to hit our Vision 2030 strategic priorities. I will start with SFPL exhibitions, sharing data from 2025 and an overview of the 2026 exhibition calendar. Senior Curator Megan Merritt will introduce our current Jewett Gallery exhibition, The Continuing Story of Life on Earth, 25 Years of Hamburger Eyes, the satellite exhibitions that connect the content to library collections, and exhibition-related programs. Jen Wu will wrap up the presentation with Weaving Stories, our dynamic AANHPI programming. Next slide, please. SFPL exhibitions showcase the rich stories of our vibrant Bay Area communities and beyond, and elevate the arts as a tool for connection, engagement, literacy, and learning. We offer entry to the arts through displays, installations, and artistic programming, providing opportunities for developing a deeper understanding of the world around us. As the Bay Area artistic landscape continues to shift, by offering zero-barrier access to the arts, the library helps sustain a healthy arts ecosystem. In 2025, we hit record attendance for Jewett Gallery exhibitions, and this is the only space with a people counter, so we're limited to capturing attendance numbers there, and welcomed 10,764 visitors to Skateboarding San Francisco and 12,278 to Living Tattoo Traditions. We showcased SFPL collections and archives through 10 satellite exhibitions that expanded on the themes of the Jewett Gallery shows. We worked with 96 individual artists, and full disclosure, 89 of them were featured in the Calligraphia exhibition that occurs every 3 years, but still, that's a lot of artists. We commissioned 3 artists to create original work for the library: Marby Miller's Skate Day, Jimmy Shai's Inked Zodiac, and Atem Tuhei, the mural leading to the MCC that was developed in partnership with the Association of the Ramaytush Ohlone and the San Francisco Arts Commission. And finally, we presented 19 exhibition-related programs using different modes of engagement, from tours and panels and conversations to hands-on art-making workshops and a design open house. We partnered with more than 25 internal and external collaborators to bring these projects to life. In addition to capturing quantitative data through visitor numbers, we use qualitative information to understand the impact of exhibitions and how visitors interact with our content. This is captured in the form of comment books, anecdotes from staff, and interpretive activities, examples of which are shared in the next slide, please. Here in the comment book selection on the left, a visitor wrote, "Amazing, inspiring exhibition. Thank you, SFPL, for broadening my horizons and helping me understand the world a little better." Comments like this show the impact exhibitions have on creating connections and making meaning in our complex world. The image and quote in the middle slide show a group of English language learners using the Inked Zodiac exhibition in the Chinese Center to help the students practice using English words to write sentences. According to Haiqing Chen, Chinese Center program manager, the students were engaged in learning and were excited to find the zodiac animal for their birth year. She also said, as shown here, "I'm very happy to see how our exhibitions can inspire and benefit our community by creating meaningful learning experiences and supporting continued learning opportunities. This is truly what the library brings to the community, and I'm glad to be one of the people supporting this work." Lastly, the slide on the right features 3 visitor responses from the Tattoo Wishes activity in the Living Tattoo Traditions exhibition. The prompt was simple and straightforward, asking visitors to leave a wish to the tattoo gods. I wish for world peace. I wish for goodness, hope, and human compassion to pull through this year, and that Maverick lives a long and healthy life. And I think we all wish for those things. These 3 responses show that library guests were engaged with the exhibition and inspired to leave thoughtful answers to the prompt. It's a simple and effective way of encouraging dialogue among community members and seeing the connection visitors make to the artwork, the themes, and each other. Next slide, please. This slide features highlights from the 2026 exhibition schedule. As you can see from this partial list, SFPL exhibitions and corresponding programs provide a platform for cutting-edge and diverse local artists and community members working across media and content. Closing soon are We've Got Soul, Hip Hop, Hoops, and the Rise of Sneaker Culture, Patricia Owen designed bookbinding, and Under the Bed, monstrous selections from the Schmulowitz collection of wit and humor. Please check those out before they close if you can. I encourage you to tour the Main when you're on site to see the breadth of the library's exhibition offerings, including the continuing story of life on Earth, 25 Years of Hamburger Eyes, that Megan Merritt is here to tell you about.
Thank you, Allison. As you all may have seen as you walked into the Corrett Auditorium this afternoon or this evening, we opened a new exhibition in Jewett Gallery called The Continuing Story of Life on Earth, 25 Years of Hamburger Eyes. Hamburger Eyes is a black and white photography magazine that started in 2001 by Ray Potes, his brother, and their friend Stefan as a simple art exchange between friends. After publishing the first 4 issues, Hamburger Eyes established an audience and blossomed into an industry pioneer, blazing a trail in documentary photo publishing. Since the beginning, Hamburger Eyes has accepted photo submissions from both established photographers and up-and-comers. Over the past quarter century, Ray has catalyzed a global community of photographers and continues to meet and receive submissions from new photographers almost on a daily basis. The retrospective exhibition in Jewett Gallery shows the photos of over 80 photographers from the Bay Area and worldwide, and for the first time on view are 57 issues of Hamburger Eyes, which is the full run of the magazine. It's both a dazzling display that demonstrates dedication to both craft and community. As a publisher, Hamburger Eyes has released signature titles from Bay Area photographers like Michael Jang and Ted Pashinsky, and has been included in group and solo exhibitions in North America and Europe, and was most recently featured in last year's Around Group F64 exhibition at SF MoMA. Ray continues to publish Hamburger Eyes while also working on other projects, most recently publishing his newest book, which coincided with the opening of our exhibition, and that's called Hamburger Eyes, The First 25 Years, which is also on view in Jewett Gallery. For the first time, we also partnered with Friends of the Public Library to create merch. We have a new hooded sweatshirt that sold out during our opening reception and is now on sale on the Friends of SFPL website. Speaking of our opening reception, we had a really great success. We welcomed over 1,200 people that evening, which was a new record for us for our exhibition openings. Next slide, please. In connection with the exhibition, we're also featuring 4 satellite displays that connect with our diverse collections and the themes and stories that are explored in Jewett Gallery. The first satellite display, titled "We Have Hamburger Eyes" for SFPL's magazines and periodicals, opened on the 5th floor earlier this month and features select titles from our magazines and periodicals collection, including the oldest magazine that's actually in the collection from 1918, and that's at the very top of the slide in the center. On the 6th floor, we just opened 2 displays as of today. The first exhibit, called "This Must Be the Place: Photography in Print Media," features photos from little magazines, underground newspapers, and independently produced journals from the Bay Area, and are sourced from our own collection, which is called the Little Magazine Collection. The other exhibit, titled "Sidewalk Stories: San Francisco from the 1970s through 1980s," highlights the street photography of 4 Bay Area photographers whose street photography illuminates everyday encounters between city dwellers who call San Francisco home. In August, which is next slide, please. In August, we'll be opening our last satellite display, called "Street Scene: Photography from the AMR Collection," which showcases impressive photography reference titles from our arts, music, and recreation collection. Earlier this month, Ray and I led visitors through the gallery for a tour of the exhibition, and on June 20th, we'll be partnering with the Harvey Milk Photo Center to lead a street photography walking tour that starts in Jewett Gallery and ends up at Harvey Milk Photo Center, where participants will snap photos along the way. On July 2nd, visitors will have the opportunity to create their own zines with materials inspired by the themes and stories that are explored in Jewett Gallery exhibition. Rounding out our programming, we will host a film fest on August 6th, where we'll screen a Hamburger Eyes documentary and other short films and videos produced by Ray and other Hamburger Eyes collaborators. I hope to see you in Jewett Gallery or at one of our upcoming programs. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Next slide, please. All right. My name is Jen Wu. I'm the Family Engagement Coordinator at Community Partnerships and Programs. I'm pleased to share highlights from our final cultural celebration of the fiscal year, Weaving Stories, our library-wide campaign honoring Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This year's theme, Power and Unity, reflects the diversity within AANHPI communities, cultures that share histories and values, yet each with its own unique strength and challenges. Here in San Francisco, AANHPI residents make up about 35% of the city's population, and roughly half are newcomers, not born in the United States. As you can imagine, meeting the needs of such a broad and multilingual community takes thoughtful outreach and collaborative programming. Next slide, please. We've already had meaningful moments at the Main. Earlier this year, Drumbeats Heartbeats programs highlighted the intersection of Lunar New Year and Black History Month. We also co-hosted a powerful panel with activists from API Youth Rising and filmmakers John Asaki and Josh Chuck, creators of Making Waves, The Rise of Asian America, which documents youth-led efforts to protect ethnic studies. The program was a collaboration between myself and librarian Jerry Deere, who, fun fact, was my professor in an information technology class at City College back in the day. Next slide, please. Speaking of Jerry, he is once again partnering with San Francisco State University on the APIA biography project, recognizing changemakers in the Asian American community. At Maine Children's Center, we're offering a scavenger hunt with prizes for the first 50 participants, and both the Children's Center and the Chinese Center have displays highlighting prominent Asian American figures. We're also grateful to our longtime partners, Square and Circle Club, the nation's oldest Chinese and Asian women's service organization, and the Association of Chinese Teachers. Next slide, please. This year brings several exciting new presenters for youth and families. Author and illustrator Bo Liu led a community drawing session and read from her new book, Ren's Pencil. Chopstick Story offered a hands-on workshop in making chopsticks while sharing Korean cultural traditions. And we welcome back community favorites, including Dunia Drum and Dance Company, who introduced families to Bhangra dance, and puppeteer Ramon Abad, who helped families create puppets for their own imaginative stories. Next slide, please. Our next group of programs was curated by the Filipino American Center, the Chinese Center, and CPP's Lori Talarico, who leads adult engagement. Together, we screen Resonance from Archive to Art in the Correct Auditorium, a film that invites viewers to re-examine Asian American history as an essential part of the American story, particularly meaningful as the nation approaches its 250th anniversary. Of course, no heritage celebration is complete without music and dance, so Yayun Music Group performed at the Main, one of the many artistic offerings across our branches as well. We're also hosting health and wellness programs that explore the role of cultural traditions in supporting healthy living. I love this theme personally because my grandmother was an herbalist who lived to 104, and I would have loved to have learned more from her wisdom. So sadly, I am going to miss that event. Next slide, please. All right, so author Nicole Wong joined us to discuss her book on Mahjong and taught participants to play as part of the Filipino American Center's focus on Filipino-style Mahjong games. And coming soon is Alice and the Wave, recently named a sensational band of Asia by a Bay Area radio station, so please save the date for that. We're also welcoming back returning artisans, including Filipino weaver Christina Edwards, who leads intergenerational weaving workshops and shares her cultural traditions. Next slide, please. On the literary side, our Readers Advisory Committee curated book recommendations for the month, complementing our On the Same Page selection, Orphan Bachelors, a memoir rooted in San Francisco's Chinatown and shaped by the Chinese exclusion era. Our new multi-state One Book, One Coast initiative features They Called Us Enemy by George Takei, chronicling his childhood in a Japanese-American incarceration camp during World War II. Our library continues to uplift these stories through programs featuring Sharon Yamato and Brian Yea's work on the Forced Assembly Center's website, as well as CAMFest screenings like Defiant to the Last, Resistance at the Tule Lake Jail. And in a moment of hope, that center picture there, our Afternoon of Ideas program invited families to fold paper cranes together, an activity that beautifully echoed the themes of resilience, remembrance, and community. Next slide. I want to express deep appreciation for my colleagues on the Weaving Stories Workgroup. Their collaboration with presenters and community partners brings these programs to life across our neighborhoods. Our librarians consistently reach out to community members to ensure that voices are stories are honored and heard. And as of today, 94 of our 148 planned programs have taken place, with events running from April through June. While we're still collecting full data and statistics, we know that at least 1,270 people have attended AANHPI programming at libraries throughout the city. And in closing, don't forget to attend an exclusive author event with award-winning television journalist Dion Lim, sorry, I did not get this in the slides, as she discusses her new book, Amplify, My Fight for Asian America, on May 28th here in the Correct Auditorium. And a sneak peek that next month's Library Commission will include a presentation on May 17th, Bruce Lee Day, and library events, including the limited edition Bruce Lee library card. They don't really look like this, but they do look like this. So get yours before they are gone. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you, Allison and Megan. Megan, I'm sorry I didn't introduce you earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now open public comment on this item. As a reminder, please limit your public comment, to this specific agenda item. Public comment is now open.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-2 0544, and also library users 2004 at protonmail.com. Thank you very much for the presentations. It's always good to see what the library is doing. And there very often are, including some of these that I have certainly seen, very, very interesting and fascinating exhibits. I'm glad also that not the first occurrence, the 2026 exhibition calendar, but the Hamburger Eyes programming lists specific dates, which I think is worthwhile, particularly for folks who come to Library Commission meetings or know about them, to learn about upcoming programs that might be of particular interest to them. In connection with these programs, there are also other collections that I'm aware of that are quite interesting concerning local folks. There's an OWL group at Bernal Heights that has published multiple annual poetry books. There's a collection of hate materials that the Park Branch has, but not everything that they have is available is noted in the catalog or available to be looked at or borrowed unless you actually go and in some fashion know about somebody told you or there's a display. I've talked about publicity before. I happened on the Hamburger Eyes reception, which was terrific. Did have a thing saying it's happening now. Very often, library exhibits don't have what's happening at the library. I'd like to today, and I'd like to suggest that at every location, there be at least something that when you walk in, you can see, oh, something is happening in a half hour or in 2 hours of interest, and maybe even something today and tomorrow is happening, or maybe a calendar for the week, so that a person walking into a location would know what might be of very particular interest to them. I'm also wondering if there might be some documentation of some of these exhibits, like a catalog, or particularly a list of related reading or other materials like books. Very often there are materials that you can look at or borrow at the library. And I think it would be worthwhile to have some information for folks who might want to know more about the exhibit or its contents or related material, like the tattooing, for example, or the Hamburger Eyes and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this item? Thank you. Hearing none, public comment is now closed, and we move to commission discussion on item number 2.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It occurred to me, watching the presentation, that you must be exhausted because there is so much good that you and the team are doing and bringing to our patrons. Thank you very much for presenting today. It's a terrific reminder for me that there are people in my community who might not be a natural reader because they're perhaps a content creator rather than a content consumer. And there are plentiful opportunities for me to reach out to that community of friends and invite them to come participate in events that are happening here at the library. Thank you.
I want to echo that. I love this presentation. It always makes, I always kind of think about connective tissue when I hear moments like this. And Megan and Allison, all the work and the art exhibitions that happen here, I feel like I wonder how you guys are thinking about kind of thinking big in helping kind of increase the awareness of the exhibition presence of kind of art in the library, like almost the library as another space where art is being featured in the city. And I just am curious if you guys are thinking about that, or how you're thinking about not just how art is consumed in the library, but also just how art of the library is part of the larger narrative of San Francisco art scene. Because just even Hamburger Eyes, like, I mean, there's so much history, and I'm sure there is like a cult following of, you know, the Hamburger magazine and everything. And so I just am wondering like how you guys are thinking about it bigger than just within our four walls, at least at the main library, if you are.
Yeah, we think about this all the time. You know, the library is hopefully becoming an artful destination that is, you know, what we're trying to do. And we work very closely with our colleagues in PR and marketing to elevate the stories that we're featuring in our exhibition. And as you saw in Pocholo's presentation at the last Library Commission meeting, library exhibitions are getting noticed by local and national publications, newspapers, and journalists, and so, you know, that's very exciting. And we do take our role within the artistic landscape very seriously, especially as spaces, traditional spaces are closing. CCA just announced their closing. Contemporary Jewish Museum is selling their building. Galleries are closing right and left. And because the library is free and open to the public all the time, it's we have an incredible opportunity to elevate storytelling through the arts, and the arts as a tool for learning, connecting, literacy, and for for engagement. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. I think what could be amazing is as you guys are thinking about your strategic kind of curation over 1 to 3 years, how does that think big and small, right? And I would love, and I'm sure the whole commission would like enjoy just the visibility of how does that ladder up to moments where we're supporting the arts and culture of San Francisco as well as within our library. I just think that would be a great context to have, just how you guys are thinking about strategically over the next few years. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but just over the next few years, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Great, thanks. Can I just say one more thing? In connection to the larger city, we are one of the further triennial venues. So next year is the further triennial. It's the first time that this is happening, and it's an opportunity for the Bay Area to be recognized for its artistic achievements and as a center for the arts. And so we are, again, one of the venues, and that's going to be another opportunity to just kind of level up and showcase what we're doing here.
Amazing. Wait, I have one last question, sorry. No. The hamburger merch you mentioned sold out. You know me and merch. There's still, it seems like almost like a 3-month runway of this exhibition, knowing that it goes all the way through August. Is the Friends procuring that? Or I'm just wondering, like, there still seems like there's opportunity for merch to support all these exhibition moments. And I just want to encourage you guys to fast track into that merch, because I feel like it's a great opportunity to kind of continue to tell our story kind of through our product. Sorry, you know me and merch.
We want to work more with the Friends on developing merch, and Michael Vincent has been an incredible partner in this, so yes, thank you.
Thank you. I guess my follow-up is actually kind of that producer-consumer, and I think I noted in each of the presentations that you have components where people come in and create art. And I'm just curious how you make decisions about what that looks like, what you're trying to accomplish there, and why is that important in sort of this overarching strategy that you have? Why help people make art?
so we give them what they want. The library visitors are very vocal about what they need and what they want to see more of. We have some adults dropping into youth craft programs, which are designed for youth. And it's interesting that they're dropping in and asking for more adult-focused programming and intergenerational programming. Our strategic plan does focus on intergenerational programming, and we want communities to form within those programs, learn together and teach each other and experience crafting together. Art, like literature, builds community, and it's a shared experience, a unique experience at the library. That's my take on it. Allison.
My background is in arts education, and making art helps to make meaning of our world and to, as Jen said, connect to each other and to the things around us. It deepens our understanding of exhibitions, for instance, and it's an incredible platform for just deepening our understanding of the content that we're exploring in exhibitions. It's also a great way to partner with both librarians and outside collaborators. That's...
Thank you. I think I knew the answer to the question, but I wanted to highlight that because it does feel like you create something there that's quite distinct and new and unique in the broader landscape of what libraries and what library programming often does. So I want to applaud that. I think it is deeply meaningful. And it, as you said, it does help people create meaning, and creating meaning today is so important. So thank you for all that work. Are there any other comments from the commission? Please, Anna.
This is more of a logistical question because I love how there's so many exhibits at the main, and then there's like some of the satellite programming at the branches. How do you decide which branches get the satellite programming or smaller exhibitions or the craft days and all that?
I think there are two parts to your question. So satellite or exhibitions at branches, and I can speak to that. And it really depends on the space at the branches and the proposals that we get for exhibitions. So one of the exhibitions that was not featured on the slide, I couldn't fit them all in, and since it's not at the main, I chose not to include it, but we have an exhibition coming up that's opening at the Portola branch on June 21st, and it's called Drawn to Painting. And there's a subtitle, and I cannot remember it at this moment, but it's a local artist, Keith Ferris, who wrote a book based on his illustrations that he created while writing on Muni. And so he lives in the Portola neighborhood. These are his neighbors that he's drawing as he's writing Muni, and it's a great way to celebrate his community and his transition or evolution as an artist. He was trained as a painter and has moved into illustration. Has moved into illustration, and so when we got this proposal, of course, we wanted to support that work. Other branches, it's harder to display things because of wall space and just space within the library, but we do travel elements of exhibitions to other branches. So Skateboarding San Francisco has some elements at the Western Addition branch right now. We've traveled postcards, historical postcards from Chinatown to the Sunset branch, the North Beach branch, and here. So it just kind of depends on the exhibition, and it depends on the also interest from different libraries and librarians.
I could speak to the programming side. So Weaving Stories is part of cultural programming. There are 6 cultural campaign celebrations, if I remember correctly, throughout the fiscal year. And a survey is sent to the librarians, both youth librarians and adult librarians, because they know their community best. And I'm just a librarian sitting on the 6th floor away from the public. So they get to choose what they're focusing on for programs, whether it be Weaving Stories, whether it be Native American Indigenous Heritage Month, whether it be Black History Month. They prioritize and pick, and then there's work groups that schedule programming centrally across the branches. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you all very much. We now turn to item number 3, discussion of the city librarian's report. Sir.
Thank you, President Calhoun. We have a number of presentations this evening, and I'm pleased to introduce our first presenter. We have John Cunha, our Director of Facilities, and he's going to provide a capital projects update. And I do see our good partners from the Department of Public Works in the audience that can also provide some support as well.
Thank you, Michael. All right. I'll try to keep it succinct this time. Good evening, Commissioners, President, City Librarian, and Chief Operating Officer. It's an honor to be here speaking before you once again. I also want to acknowledge my colleagues, as Michael already did, but it's in my notes, so I'm going to talk about it. Andrew Sohn from the Bureau of Architects is here. Masoud Vafai, he is from the Project Managers Division. And Scott Anderson, who's a recent add to Public Works, he is the Deputy Director for Project Delivery. He's here as well to support. So I appreciate them all being here tonight. Next slide, please. Great. So we're going to go through just a brief update for our projects. We're going to be looking at some completed or projects that are in substantial completion. We won't get too caught up in those details, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about some of our small upcoming capital projects and then our larger capital projects as well. There will be also one slide at the end that doesn't fit into this table of contents that is something, it's an introduction of a new employee and some efforts we're making within facilities that I'm really excited about. So we'll get to that at the end. All right, next slide, please. All right, so recently completed, at least from a visual perspective, the main library safety barriers. Couple highlights on this project. Now, we'll start with the negative, then we'll move to the positive. We have one section that we have to come back to later there was a conflict with the beautiful mural that was installed over the primary stairway. So we have to troubleshoot that and figure out how we're going to make those two things go together. So we have to come back to that at a later date. So I would be dishonest if I said this project was complete, but for all intents and purposes beyond that, we have a functioning product now. One of the highlights of this project was we had a hard due date of the Night of Ideas, which I believe was April 11th. And I would just like to applaud Lisa Valerio, our project manager. She's here, I believe. Yes, there she is. She got the project done ahead of time and under budget, I believe. The budget issue will come back when we get that last piece of the project done. So, but for now, we got all the netting out of the building and we had a nice product for Night of Ideas. So I was really proud of Lisa and the whole team for getting that done. Park branch waterproofing. This is actually one of those not the most exciting kind of project. It's like changing the oil in your car. But if you don't change the oil in your car, we know it's not going to last too long. So these are the kind of projects I like because they keep us in a state of good repair. This is our second branch waterproofing project in the last 4 years. This is a park branch. So basically, we partner with our colleagues from DPW, and we go through the entire building in terms of caulking and flashing and roofing and make sure that the building envelope is completely watertight so that we're better protecting the infrastructure and the collection within the building. This is an ongoing program. We're going to come back to this on that last slide briefly again that I mentioned earlier. Again, we got this done recently, and currently, we're still in financial closeout, but currently it looks like it was completed under budget, and we have some money that will go back into that program for future branch waterproofing efforts. So very happy with that. All right, next slide, please. All right, these, it's uncomfortable using the term smaller projects on these, but they are in the scope of things. They're smaller capital projects here at the Main. These are facility renewal projects. The first of which is our roof. We are basically operating with the original roof still on this building at 30 years. Other than your basic emergency repairs and spot checks, that type of thing, it is the original roof. So it's well past its service life, and it is more than due. The overall budget for this project is $6.1 million. Of that, we have $3.1 million in the Building Forward grant, which is factored in, so that's great. So we have $3 million of our funds going to this project. The scope is pretty basic. It's replacement of the roof and renewal of the flashing and the sealants. And the schedule is to start the late summer of 2026. So that's coming right up. That should put us in good shape for another 20 years at least. So again, necessary, not the funnest project, but glad to be getting it done. Following that, we will be doing the seismic moat, and this is going to end up looking like probably almost a complete rebuild of the seismic moat. Our current estimated budget is $7.3 million. Factored into that is $3.2 million from the Building Forward grant. I don't want to give you too much detail on this. We'll keep it high level, but basically our building is on seismic isolators, which allows the building to move substantially during a seismic event. And it is the moat which allows that movement without destroying the infrastructure like the sidewalk, the planters, and everything else around it. So it's a critical infrastructure piece, which again is all original and is due to be rebuilt. It's actually a rather tricky system, because how do you be able to create that movement but also keep the outside environment outside of the inside environment? So it's interesting. So, but that will be happening in early 2027 is our estimates at this time. Let's see here. Yeah, moving on. Next slide, please. Now, currently, these are some of the more exciting projects, I think. Our Mission Branch Library, which Andrew Sohn, Andy, as we call him, was the architect on. Our current estimated budget at completion right now is $40.7 million. We have $5.3 million in the first phase of the Building Forward grant in that project as well. We're currently looking at substantial completion in August, and we're hoping with final completion and a grand opening sometime in October. We're currently, I'm going to say that number is a little low. We're somewhere in the low 90% of completion for construction. Shelving and furniture procurement has been a huge effort by Lisa Valerio, our capital projects manager. She's worked closely with the Friends of the Library on all of the procurement for our FF&E, so our furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That's all on order and ready to go. Really happy about that. We'll be ready to install as soon as we get to that substantial completion. We can move right in with the spec shelving and all of the furniture. We're on schedule for that with the FF&E. So that's Mission. Moving on to the next slide. Our Chinatown branch library renovation is the second of our 3 lift library improvements for tomorrow, 3 lift programs. We're currently in the midst of the bidding process right now. We've received bids. The best value evaluation portion should be, I believe it's complete at this point. I'm speaking for myself, my part's complete. And I believe we are ready to open the sealed bids. When are we thinking? Early June, Masood? early to mid-June, we'll be opening the bids to where we actually see the numbers from the bidders. So, so that's obviously a critical time. Looking forward to it. We had 4 really solid bid packages from 4 different contractors. We had several that I think we had 6 or 7 who submitted bids, but only 4 were found to be qualified. But they all looked great and very comprehensive. Masood, our project manager, is hoping to be able to go to the Public Works Commission for approval before August when they go to recess. So once we have their approval, then we can move to NTP and get this project started. So we're hoping for a late summer on the NTP, probably, I'm guessing, about September. Does that sound about right? Yeah. Yep. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so that's Chinatown. In a lot of ways, it's a similar project to Mission. We will be kind of reestablishing the grandeur of the big reading room and really putting back a lot of that charm and the distinct beauty of the building that was lost in earlier renovations and retrofits. And again, that was all you, right, Andy? Yeah. Attaboy. Yeah. A team led by Andrew Sohn. Yeah. Yes. But it's exciting. It's going to be beautiful. All right. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right. So, oh, sorry. We got one more on Chinatown. Thank you. The Chinatown Temporary Library, as has been our practice here at SFPL, in order to keep continuity of service to our communities, there will be a temporary branch location. It's located at 950 Grant Street, right in the heart of Chinatown. Again, hats off to Lisa. She's handled this, you know, I mean, obviously she brings in help, but she has led this all the way through. And we are good to go. We're ready right now. We can open that and we can put books in there and be open right now. So well underway. Once we get the closure of the actual branch, within 30 days of that, we should have the temp site open and ready for business for the public there. So we, like I say, we really want to minimize service interruptions there. All the shelving's in, all the staff furniture's in. Yeah, it should be a pretty smooth transition from the main branch there, or I should say the Chinatown branch there, to the temp site. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, Ocean View Branch Library. This is a tricky puzzle, right? We've been working diligently on this, really, you know, for a long time, but definitely during my time here at the library, this has been an ongoing topic. So the Ocean View branch, as I'm sure we all know here, is currently our smallest branch library location. We definitely are looking to increase the service to that community by providing a bigger branch with more service. I obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, you don't know me that well, but I also have a passion for emergency planning and community resilience. So we really, for me, I really want this to be the right library for this community, and not only as a library service, but also from an emergency planning perspective as well. So we are taking our time. We're going to do it right. We're going to give this community the right library in the right location at the end of the day. A lot of you are familiar with the original considered location. Last time we talked, we had received an estimated budget update on what was the original possible new branch there. And as you can see by the numbers on your screen there, they're not feasible. They're beyond our budget capability. So that, I didn't even list that property on this slide because it is, at this point in my mind, it's a non-starter. The second location, which we were encouraged to investigate, was next door to the current branch, which is 333 Randolph. I just listed it here because I believe that's a new development for you all, or at least this update is. In working with our partners at real estate, That option is also off the table because of the financial implications of that site would not even allow the city to purchase that property, because we would have to actually offer an above fair market value to that property, which we cannot do. So I just list it to just show that we've considered it. It's basically off the short list at this point. That leaves 400 Randolph, which is across the street from our current branch location, just kitty corner a little bit. It's the current home of the Pilgrim Community Church, the IT Bookman Community Center. They have the ownership group there has expressed interest in selling the property. We are exploring that with all due diligence with our real estate partners. And we've had several meetings with them. We're exploring that. It looks positive at this point. So there's the acquisition side, right? And this is where it becomes, this is where I earn my paycheck, is trying to weave the possible acquisition with the can we put the building we want there, right? So Scott's been a huge help to me in helping me suss out this possibility, right? So we have a basic validation study from Public Works, which is basically just confirming the programmatic envelope. What can we do there? What do we want to do there? They provided that a few weeks ago. It's in alignment with what we want to do. I currently have an MOU from Public Works for a CEQA study, a feasibility study, an amassing study to see if we can actually do exactly what we want there. Now, again, that's where it becomes a puzzle, because I have to, can I put the library I want there? And can we procure the property? So it's a real puzzle. We're working it all out. I'm very optimistic at this point, but nothing is set in stone. So we're continuing to explore with both real estate, with Public Works, and we are considering the possibility of a co-location there with the Department of Early Childhood Development. We've had several meetings with them. We have a programmatic envelope that will fit their needs to a T for that community. And so we're just working out the details on how that relationship might look moving forward, and how we can do this in such a way that it's a win for DEC, it's a win for the library, and most of all, it's a win for the community. So I don't know. I feel like we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, but we'll keep working forward on that. Moving forward. All right, thank you. So next slide, please. All right, so this is kind of my exciting slide. I'd like to introduce our new Chief Stationary Engineer. His name is Brian Haug. He is here. Stand up, say hi. This young man joined us about 4 weeks ago. He's spent some time in New York with Con Ed there. He's worked at General Hospital for DPH as an engineer there. And I don't always introduce new employees here, but the reason why I wanted to drag him down here and put some pressure on him personally is because of the future I see for him here at the library. He's immediately proven himself to be a collaborative process thinker who is very much in line with the work that I want to do here within our engineering department, right? So it's a little bit different from capital. He's going to be the one that's going to be helping us with our preventative maintenance and our facility renewal type projects, right? So we're kind of getting all those details hashed out between what lives with the capital, what lives with engineering. But some of the programs which he's already jumped right into and is standing up for us is really this, in general, this concept, this shift from reactive to preventative maintenance, right? Looking at the system as a whole, taking in all the information from our facility condition assessment, taking in all the information from our asset management tools, and understanding where are we weak, what do we need to address first, and how do we get out, most importantly for me, how do we get out in front of problems so that we're not dealing with problems, we're dealing with renewals while they're still efficient, it's still an efficient effort to renew them. So some of the basic programs he's already begun is a painting program, and this will tie in directly with the waterproofing of our branch locations that I mentioned earlier. He's met with our partners at DPW. They are excited about this possibility as well, about understanding like, hey, we're going to ask for 2 branches, 3 branches, 1 branch, whatever it is, but schedule this all out to where every year we're getting 1 to 3 branches, a complete exterior repaint and a complete interior repaint. Because one of my goals here is no matter how old our buildings are, when a patron walks into a San Francisco Public Library branch, it seems fresh, it seems new, it's clean, it's functional, and they're excited to be there, right? So we've got painting that he's working on this for already, our roofing systems, and then our flooring. That'll be a little bit more difficult because there's a lot more moving pieces to that puzzle, but I'm excited about it. And then infrastructure and mechanical equipment, as like I said, we want to replace systems before they fail. So the benefits to our community is just fewer interruptions, quicker turnarounds on this type of stuff as we move forward. I'm really looking forward to when we do, whether they be capital projects or facility renewals, that we are in such a good state that, I don't mean to make light of it, but that the project becomes all fun. It becomes all exciting. It all becomes cutting edge, and it's not, oh, we got to replace the HVAC system, right? Like, let's handle that ahead of time to where when we do our projects, they are the things that are going to bring joy, light, and excitement to our communities. So that is your capital update for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, our next presenter is Maria Mastro-Kyriakos, our Employee Engagement Manager in our Library Human Resources Department, and she's going to be presenting about our recent Employee Excellence Awards. Maria?
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, Commissioners, Michael, Maureen, Dolly. I'm Maria Mastro-Kyriakos, and I'm the library's Employee Learning and Development Manager. It's a pleasure to be here today to share how the library advances employee engagement by celebrating employee excellence, and how our recognition efforts help build community with one another and strengthen our commitment to the library. With Library Human Resources leading these efforts, our recognition has become one of the most effective ways we support employee engagement and advance Vision 2030. During today's presentation, I'll highlight how these moments of appreciation are helping create a stronger, more connected library, both for the staff who work here and for the community we proudly serve. Next slide, please. Employee engagement is the connection staff feel to their work, to one another, and to the library. Engagement shows up through everyday recognition, collaboration, support, and a shared pride in what we do. When employees feel seen and supported, they bring their strengths forward and help strengthen our culture. Feeling valued fuels partnership, initiative, and how we show up for our patrons. All of this directly supports Vision 2030. A motivated, connected workforce is essential to delivering our long-term goals and connecting people to resources. A more engaged workforce leads to better experiences for staff in our community. Next slide, please. We have 3 signature annual events that honor staff and embody the spirit of Vision 2030. First, the Employee Excellence Awards, which takes place each May. These awards recognize staff whose contributions reflect our mission, strategic priorities, and core values. Each category is directly tied to our very foundation, making the event a commemoration of what the library stands for. Nominations typically take place in February and March, followed by a thoughtful selection process and presentation of plaques at the celebratory event. Second, our service pin event, which takes place every fall. This event honors staff's milestones, 5 years and every 10 years after. Longevity reflects deep knowledge and commitment to the communities we serve and the staff who have shaped the library over time. Third, the Winter Wonderland of Winds, which is our holiday event. This takes place in December. This is a joyful celebration of staff achievements across the organization. It spotlights the range of accomplishments that strengthen the patron experience, growth, and access, and allows staff to enjoy each other's company and community. Each event is planned by a planning committee led by Library Human Resources, which comprises diverse staff from the City Librarian's Office, Finance, Branches, and Main, with support from Facilities and Media Services. For those of us on the planning committee, this not only allows us to come together to create meaningful moments for our staff, but also build connection with each other. I also want to extend heartfelt thanks to our senior management team for volunteering to serve at these events. Their presence sends a powerful message of gratitude and support that truly resonates with our staff. Lastly, recognition continues year-round through ongoing check-ins and appreciation that builds relationships, highlight experience, expertise, and advance our vision, mission, strategic priorities, and core values. Next slide, please. This year, the Employee Excellence Awards took place on May 8th in the atrium at the main library. Over 300 staff members attended, and we recognized 12 award recipients. Many of you, commissioners and friends of the library, were in attendance that day and celebrated with us, so we thank you for your support as well. And as you can see, and as you have experienced, it really was a wonderful event. Next slide, please. Our award categories are intentionally designed to celebrate the values we live out every day and the culture we build together. We present 2 City Librarian Awards and 10 awards aligned with our 5 core values and 5 strategic priorities, recognizing outstanding work that directly advances the library's mission and impact. These categories honor the staff who bring our values to life every day, those whose service, collaboration, and innovation set the standard for excellence across the organization. And by highlighting these achievements, we inspire others to carry our values forward. This slide shows this year's award recipients. We're incredibly proud of all of our winners and nominees, and we look forward to seeing their continued success. Next slide, please. Our recognition events are also showing measurable gains in employee engagement. In just 1 year, nominations increased by 43%, with team nominations up 30% and individual nominations up 45%. More staff are taking time to recognize one another, lift up colleagues, and celebrate contributions. With 28 job classifications represented in award recipients, this reflects the breadth of impactful work happening across the library and the inclusivity of our recognition efforts. Attendance also remains strong. Over the past 2 years, more than 300 staff have joined us at these events, reaffirming that our staff value coming together and feel connected to the library and each other. Next slide, please. At the library, our staff are at the heart of what we do. We launched the Why I Work Here campaign, showcasing authentic stories that capture the pride, purpose, and personal meaning staff find in their work. Led by Jamie Wong and the public relations team, the stories were featured during National Library Week and became a powerful complement to our employee engagement efforts. The campaign shares our message of belonging and celebrates the people that make the library extraordinary. To reflect the diversity of experiences across the library, I will share 2 stories with you, each offering a personal perspective of what it means to serve our community. So let's start with the first story.
My name is Gilvin Magno. I am a 8211 Building and Grounds Patrol Supervising Officer. There was this little girl that a little bit on the spectrum. She would drag her mom to the library, and knowing that I help create that environment where she feels safe and that she can, progress and learn. Just the fact that I'm a part of that community to make her feel safe and and enjoy the library makes me feel good. We are SFPL.
Next slide, please.
My name is Rachel Kinnan. I am the manager of San Francisco Public Library's Jail and Reentry Services program. Every day that we go in the jail, we're met with incredible gratitude by people who are excited to read the next book in the series that they're reading, or who find something really great that they've wanted to learn about on the library cart that we push around the jails. When we're on the outside, we kind of take for granted that we can read what we want to read, or that we can get answers to our questions. But if you're incarcerated and you don't have access to the internet, you don't take those things for granted. Information and books are priceless when you're incarcerated. We are SFPL.
Next slide, please. Thank you for your continuous support, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Maria. All right, next up we have Ruben Balderas, and Ruben is going to present on this year's Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros, Day of the Child, Day of the Book.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good evening, commissioners, library leaders, members of the public. As Michael mentioned, my name is Ruben Balderas. I'm the library's early learning coordinator. It's my honor to talk to you about Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros, which is a celebration took place on Sunday, April 26th at Parque Niños Unidos in the Mission. Well, maybe some of you were at a Giants game, but no shade. Next slide, please. So, Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros is a celebration of children and books rooted in a longtime Latin American tradition of celebrating children. San Francisco's first Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros was held in 1999, making this our 27th celebration. And each year since then, organizers continue to volunteer their time and resources to achieve the goal of promoting literacy and unifying families of all cultures through a community-based, child-centered event. To date, the celebration has reached thousands of children and their families who have enjoyed world dance, music, theater, storytelling, and most importantly, the opportunity to engage in hands-on exploration and learning. Families can get a library card and check out books from the San Francisco Public Library Bookmobile, choose from a variety of literacy-related arts and crafts, and take home free multilingual books. This year, we estimate about 2,000 people in attendance. Next slide, please. In order to fully plan out the event, I chair a work group whose membership consists of staff from other local youth-serving organizations who help plan and take on a variety of roles that help lead to the success of DIA. While we invite all of our partners to join us in the work group, the 6 on the top row here, KQED, the SF Department of Early Learning, Felton Institute, Good Samaritan Family Resource Center, Tandem Partners in Early Learning, and Wu Yi Children's Centers, stepped up this year to be a part of the organizing committee along with me, and I'm deeply grateful for their contributions. The other organizations you see on the slide were also tabling partners at this event. At over 30 organizations plus SFPL, this year's DIA saw its largest collection of resource providers for children and families compared to any year in the past. Go to the next slide, please. So, what is the role of a tabling partner at DIA? Tabling at DIA is a mutually beneficial opportunity for these organizations and families in attendance. It's an opportunity for families to learn about the variety of organizations and resources available to them, and for the organizations to make those valuable face-to-face connections. But DIA is not simply an outreach opportunity, it's more than that. As I mentioned at the top, DIA is also an event designed to promote literacy. So as a part of tabling, we ask every tabling partner to host a fun literacy-based activity. We encourage the partners to plan activities using recycled materials and or other materials easily found in most homes. So activities show up as a variety of different things, from games to crafts, storytelling, just a whole bunch of things. So we had some new notable partners this year, one being Open Door Legal, who provide universal access to legal representation. including in the area of immigration. So we pursued them last year as the political climate had shifted, and we're grateful that they agreed to join us this year. Another DIA first-timer was Magic Tooth Bus, who provided free oral exams and consultations to families throughout the day. Next slide, please. And so, as if the large variety of literacy-based activities and the beautiful park weren't enough, we had performances go on throughout the day. For DIA, we bring in local performers and performance groups representing various art forms from around the world, but usually with several from Latin American traditions fitting our DIA roots and the Mission neighborhood locale. As has become a recurring feature of the last handful of years, we kick off DIA with an hour with no amplified sound for children with auditory sensitivities. And during this time, we had Bubblesmith Sterling Johnson. He's up in the upper left-hand corner. He's making giant bubbles and big walls of bubbles and even putting kids inside of bubbles. It was the only performance that happened inside of the park, but that was ideal because it let the kids run around and really enjoy playing with those bubbles. Next came a dance performance from an Aztec dance troupe, Danza Azteca Zitlali Zolo, who put on a performance welcoming the start of spring, honoring the earth, wind, rain, and sun. Then came a musical performance from Emilia Lopez Yanez of Malinki Music, who incorporated movement and play into her set of Spanish language and bilingual children's classics. And finally, the performances wrapped up with a capoeira dance, martial arts, music, gymnastics, and culture demonstration from Jarrell Phillips and several of his students from Capoeira Ijeksha. Next slide, please. So SFPL not only plays the largest role in organizing Dia de los Niños, also provide the biggest presence at the event. This year, SFPL brought out a bookmobile to provide library service and library cards for the attendees. The SFPL's bridge staff were in attendance, promoting the Fog Readers tutoring program and delighting kids with their Star Wars-themed Magic Ewok literacy activity. Jason Hill from the Mix brought Mix teen interns to lead a button-making activity. And Mike Smith from the media services team was out there providing support for our performers. And Joanna Arteaga Laspina from the Excelsior branch knocked it out of the park as our wonderful MC. And staff from the Mission branch and the library's Community Programs and Partnerships division were hard at work distributing multilingual books to the children in attendance. To date, this annual celebration has distributed over 25,000 multilingual books into the community. And while I won't go through and name everyone involved in the planning and delivery of DIA, because we would be here all day, I just want to shout out a few people that, in addition to the folks who participated that day at the event, shout outs to the Collection Development Office for purchasing and sending the giveaway books, the custodial team for providing the supplies needed to make sure the street was ready to use before the attendees arrived, our public affairs team for their efforts at promoting the event, our finance team, and of course the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library, without whose support we cannot make programs like these happen. Next slide, please. And finally, as I wrap up, last year I started making these smile slides for my program presentations because I think they make really nice representations of what programs like these mean to the community. I think they're visual proof of a program's success. So here on the slide, we have families together, interacting with one another, having positive interactions around books, like right in the center there, around learning and having a positive experience because of the work of the library. So I hope that you enjoy seeing these joyful faces as much as I do, and I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'll pass it over to Michael.
Thank you, Ruben. Commissioners, as your closer today, I am proud to say that not only does San Francisco have major league teams, you also have a major league library system. For the second year in a row, the San Francisco Public Library's awesome team organized Library Day at the Giants. Ruben referred to that earlier. Combining libraries and baseball, two of our community's favorite pastimes, into one fantastic community building event. Next slide. This year, our All-Stars gathered more than a dozen local library systems, our farm teams, including Benicia, Berkeley, Burlingame, Oakland, Palo Alto, Redwood City, Richmond, San Bruno, San Jose, San Mateo, San Rafael, Santa Clara City, and San Leandro to celebrate the importance of reading and libraries with the San Francisco Giants. Our Library Day coincided with Little League Day at the Giants, so we were able to celebrate with lots of families at a sellout Sunday game. The day started at the new Mission Rock Park across the estuary from Oracle Park, with libraries offering reading spaces, crafts, and community activities, and of course, library card signups. SFPL alone signed up roughly 50 new patrons for library cards that day, thanks to the golden gloves of our mobile outreach team and our community engagement staff. Library Day at the Giants also allows each library system to benefit from ticket sales with donations straight to our friends groups, another way that the Giants give back. Next slide. SFPL also got to celebrate with an on-field interview right before the game with Giants announcer Therese Vinal to highlight all the amazing programs and services that we offer to the community. Even better, this gave us a chance to highlight the West Coast One Book, One Coast program we're currently promoting to feature author and actor George Takei's graphic novel, They Called Us Enemy. Next slide. All right, as we close out the bottom of the ninth of this Library Commission meeting, I just want to say this team is knocking it out of the park with new ideas to bring us out into the community more and more and demonstrate the power of our substantial community partnerships. And that concludes the City Librarian's report.
Way to hit cleanup. Well done, sir. And thank you all for the presentations. We will now open public comment on this item. As a reminder, please limit your public comment to this specific agenda item. Public comment is now open in Correct.
Yes, good afternoon, commissioners, and speaking as an anonymous citizen, stop the hate, stop the ignorance. Don't give money to the Friends of the Library. Don't accept money from the Friends of the Library. I first want to acknowledge the excellence of the employees and their fact that they're being recognized. That's long overdue. I wonder if it's skewed at all by something called Vision 2030, but I'm sure the excellence is still there. This is about recent events. I went to a music presentation sponsored by the library on May 2nd at the Spreckles Temple of Music. I got there a little late. I don't know if there was an announced tie-in from the library in that very beginning that I missed. There were two tables set up with SFPL tablecloths, but the materials being distributed were exclusively promotions for the bands. There didn't seem to be anything promoting the library. The bands seemed to be intent on proving how fast they could play, but I got a little dancing in anyway. The question is whether the library considered this a success or not. I also observed that you heavily promoted something called Tech Week. I was only able to attend one of those meetings. It was not very tech, and it was not very library. As a matter of fact, like the band concert, it seemed to be primarily promoting the outside organization putting it on. Again, the question is, did the library consider this a success? The city librarian should not only be reporting on the successes. From the other events, there might be lessons to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Hello, dear commissioners. My name is Catherine Scher. I'm a native San Franciscan. I've grown up and lived in Chinatown North Beach neighborhood my whole life. I'm a volunteer at the library, and I've been mainly patronizing the Chinatown Branch Library since I was a child. Probably had not realized the true value and connections to the library until I became a new mom and discovered the library in a whole new way via my baby, who grew up as a power patron now of the library, and now his mom being a library advocate. I look forward in eager anticipation of hearing the capital improvement project for Chinatown Branch Library moving forward without hopefully any more project delays to the start of the renovation, as it has seemingly been experiencing since the pandemic. Last year, when I attended this meeting, we were seemingly to be on the cusp of moving into the temporary location sometime in the summer and fall of 2025. Now, with some other delays, it seems like we're more likely now to move in. It sounds like late summer 2026, which is great. I look forward to starting the renovation, as it will it will of course restore some of the grandeur, which is great, the architectural grandeur. I remember that as a child. But more importantly, it will just create a more inviting space to reinvigorate the community to patronize this library branch more in person. For example, it would create a dedicated space for our cell phone digitally focused teens to perhaps come out and collaborate instead of coming to the mix here in main branch and study for individual and group collaborations, and also have an expanded space for hopefully more special programs to be held. And I really like that Bruce Lee program, by the way. I came down here, although I'd heard it was at the temp location as well last minute, okay? And also, it will also invite and draw in new people, like new moms, caregivers, to socialize and accelerate literacy and learning. I personally feel that our community needs to have this library space that welcomes everyone to gather together in person, as it helps us become more mentally and socially strong and be better at building relationships with people in our neighborhoods. So I ask the commissioners if you can continue to prioritize what you are doing, and of course, hopefully fully fund with 1 year, all the delays, then swiftly keep going and moving forward with this renovation project in an expedited manner so that all the improvements originally proposed years ago can still be achieved despite rapidly rising costs and shifts in views that might detract from the main goal of getting this project moving forward, and all the things that I just said being kind of long-winded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association. Library Users Association, P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. Thanks again for the presentation and the presenters. It's always good to hear about what's happening at the library. Couple of points. There were many full of information presentations. So starting with capital projects, it seems that the budget has increased for Ocean View from the last increase I recall was $20 million, and now it's 4 or 5 times higher. It's a huge jump from the original estimates for that location. It's also not clear. Apparently the Greenbelt has been given up. I'm curious why. There was a lot of community concern about locations, and it's always interesting to hear what drove the library away from one and toward another. What are the benefits and so on. With respect to interim service, I've commented on this before about previous and current things. For example, the Mission replacement library is a tiny, tiny space, a tiny fraction of what the quite large Mission Library has had in the past, and it's been there for a very, very long time. It seems to me very inadequate with respect to staffing, materials. You can't even have a computer sitting on a table when you walk in, which is an invitation. Every access to a computer is through the, whatever you want to call it, the vending device, which requires a library card. With respect to the Excellence Awards, that's terrific to hear about librarians who are a critical part and a the most valuable part of the library. I think that your surveys show that they're the most appreciated and favorably commented on. I always enjoy any encounter with a librarian. Typically, I will learn something, and I appreciate that. I didn't see any specific award for patron service, which kind of disappoints me. Possibly a thoughtful navigator, but I'm not clear where service to the public is really appreciated. There's nothing wrong with praising folks who are working on the inside, and that's important, of course, too, but the lack I was a little disappointed by. And with respect to, well, I don't have any time anymore, but I do think that some of these things are really important in terms of library service. Thank you.
Hello again, my name's Ruben. I'm the other Ruben. Okay, John, here we go. So the seismic moat, what is it going to mean for the staff while it's being reinforced is one of my questions. I'm not going to lie, I got bummed about Ocean View. I was sitting back there because Orizaba has been a huge site. Michael, he remembers, 50,000 square feet. It was going to be the anchor location. My wife and I went to Half Moon Bay to see the library because it was referenced. So I just want to be clear. It's dead then, because I think we have to share this with our patrons. The question that comes to me is how cost prohibitive was it? So it was clear from the presentation that we can't afford it, but like, what's the difference? Is it $20 million, $40 million? And I know I'm just saying it like that, and I, right? But it would be good to know what the difference is. I understand we're going to be partnering with another agency. So I don't know that the other libraries had to partner with anybody to get completed. I'm just thinking of questions that may come up when I'm at the front desk. Yeah, no, I'm from the same district. I went to school at St. Michael's, so I came back to Ocean View because I was looking forward, among other reasons, to opening a new branch, because I was there at 45 Leland when we moved to 201 Leland. I can't tell you the excitement that took place when we went to a brand new standalone building. And if any of you have been to Visitation Valley, you know how spectacular that building is. Andy, we go back since 2016 or 17 on this project. So this has been in gestation for a long time. And I still got the sense that we're not birthing yet. So I think any further clarification or, when you guys do your discussion and your follow-up questions would be useful and helpful because we're the relayers of the news to the patrons who come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Good afternoon, Library Commissions, Library Commission, library leaders, members of the public, and library workers. My name is Arcelia Montoya. I am the Union Field Representative, SEIU Local 1021, Union Field Representative for Library Workers. First, I would like to acknowledge all the amazing work that the library workers are doing for all the library locations. It's great to see all the fun that they bring to the children, especially for el Día de los Niños, Día de los Libros. I'm sure the parents and the children really appreciate that. I saw the pictures, I saw the faces, so it's so fun to see that. Another thing that I would like to also comment on is the exciting building Chinatown renovation and the completion of the Mission Branch. Labor is looking forward to meet with management to discuss the transition from Valencia to the Mission Branch, and also to discuss some concerns that library workers brought from Chinatown in regards to the Chinatown renovation project. So we're looking forward to those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment? Seeing no further requests for public comment is now closed, and we turn to commission discussion on item number 3. Commissioners, please.
With all these presentations, I was really just astounded at the thoughtfulness and creativity of all parts of the ecosystem with the libraries. So from facilities to HR to the folks doing the programming and the librarians and all the staff. It's actually quite astounding all the different things that have come out and how much care everyone puts into ensuring the libraries are a community asset that they remain and throughout the community as well.
Commissioner Bolander.
Thank you very much. Also for all the presentations and all the hard work. It's always great to see all the stuff that we're doing, and just really appreciate all the effort and diligence. We had a question about Ocean View. If you want to come up to the podium real quick. You mentioned that the main candidate is 400 Randolph, I think, right? Is there any other locations if that one falls through? I mean, we've had, as people have mentioned, been kind of doing this for a better part of a long time, and I know there's been a struggle, especially with budgeting and et cetera. So if you could just kind of walk through the thought processes on how we had to, there's a lot of history, obviously.
Sure.
And then if we do have any backup plans in case 400 Randolph goes.
Yeah, I mean, well, to put it succinctly, I mean, for me right now, where I'm at is 400 Randolph is the backup plan.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see that all the way through to really explore that possibility. The Orizaba Brotherhood Way originally planned at 30,000 square feet. And again, I know sometimes I use terms interchangeably and I need to be more specific. But the numbers I presented weren't budget numbers, they were estimate numbers. So the last estimate for the Orizaba Way was up to, I believe, $81 million.
That's what I remember, yeah.
All we've ever budgeted for Ocean View was $47 million.
Yeah.
So that gap is quite large, right? So that's why Orizaba was off the board. 333 was never much of a possibility to begin with. I just kind of wanted to show we did our due diligence to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not feasible with our city structure. So for me right now, we either renovate the existing branch or we go with 400 until something else comes up. But there's nothing else in play right now. I mean, that neighborhood is just so built out.
Right.
Right. And I love that location. I mean, I love IT Bookman Center. And all of that as well, so it's a little bit of a conflict, but it's right on the Muni line. It's right in the middle of the community.
Yeah.
And it's so close to what patrons are already used to that I just love that location. So, but that's just my personal opinion.
Right. So, budget-wise, we've always planned for 45 to 50 mil. I mean, what's obviously with all the increase in construction costs and everything, I'm assuming that never got bumped up, or what was the...
Maureen and I can tag team on this. I do want to clarify the Orizaba site adjacent to Brotherhood Way. The community was always divided about that site.
Yep.
It was viewed unsafe by half of the community, including me. It would have been putting a library next to a speedway, and without significant improvements to traffic control by SFMTA, it just wasn't viable for me. I didn't feel comfortable as the department head proceeding there. To date, I believe we've socked away, is it $42 million, Maureen?
Yeah, it's 42. And then in our 10-year capital plan, we had anticipated funding to 47. And that was based on the feasibility study from the Department of Public Works.
Okay. So we got 47 to work with roughly.
We've got 42 right now in the bank.
All right.
And it's actually 41 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we did spend $500,000 on a previous feasibility study.
Right. Okay. So 41.5
Yeah.
to be precise.
Right.
Budgeted, set aside. We just got to find a place to do it. And obviously the one you just talked about at the corner would have been 80, 90 if, I mean, I know we had talked at some point about, hey, what can we get for 41.5? And it was not going to be the type of place we wanted to. And obviously it was going to be more work for everyone. And it's just not, I mean, yeah, my opinion is it's not safe either. I'd go down there all the way. It's crazy. But anyway, okay, 41 and a half. We had to go make that work. All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. If I'm tracking, you're not excused, sir.
Thank you. I thought I was dismissed.
No. But this is a question for everyone. As sort of a new kid on the block, if I'm tracking this, there seems to be both a new construction option and a renovation option. Is that true?
Well, the renovation option was considered early on and ruled out. The community rejected the idea of a renovation. I suppose we could always come back to that for consideration, but I think we're all committed to delivering a new library for this community that is going to be commensurate with the level of service that we aspire to provide and really to address equity. This community is in an equity zone. It's underserved. They have the smallest library. So with this project, we have an opportunity to make that right.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I must have just misheard because, you know, the language we use to describe this project is so vital. And so I'd rather focus on what's feasible. You know, that there seems to be a discussion about a site that was never feasible is interesting. But it doesn't, again, seem like if I was a community member in the room, I would benefit from hearing about options that aren't feasible. Mm-hmm. So that would be my feedback. Commissioners? Oh, sir, sorry. Commissioner Kennison.
Thanks, John. Mm-hmm. One of the principal responsibilities of this body is to approve the budget for the San Francisco Library. Balancing the operational constraints, the goals of serving the community more than adequately and consistent with our Vision 2030, and budget. I don't know, I'm sure there's more legs to that stool, but those are the three that I can hold. Where is there friction, and how can this body support your team's efforts?
Wow, can I defer to Michael on that one?
Excellent question. The immediate friction is closing the deal, which this body, you have already done your part in supporting the project, approving the budget, and I feel really good about our prospects on site acquisition finally. And this project has been hanging out there going on 8 years now. And this is the first time that we have a prospective site that is extremely promising and checks most of the boxes, if not all of them. As far as how you all can support us, it is continuing to do what you do and ask questions, hold our feet to the fire. You are our stewards of this organization as the Library Commission. So in short, keep doing what you're doing.
Commissioner.
I have one quick question about Chinatown branch. I think you were in the doc, it says projected summer 2028, and that's 2 years from now. So I'm just curious, as you're thinking about the programming of the space through FF&E and just how that space lives and breathes, how are you guys thinking about where the puck's going versus where the puck is today, knowing that 2 years from now, you know, we're just seeing culture change so quickly and how our spaces are being utilized. I'm just curious how you guys are thinking about that. And that might be a Michael, John, everyone question.
Could you just rephrase it? I would love to try to answer this personally.
I'm basically wondering, 2 years is far away.
Sure.
But, you know, the Chinatown branch is probably already pretty locked and loaded because you're about to start, hopefully, construction, break ground. And I'm just curious how you guys are thinking about knowing 2 years from now a library is going to be live. What are the needs of 2 years from now versus the needs of today, and answering and building a library of today versus tomorrow? Like, how do you guys bring that into the conversation?
Well, I'm sure Mike will have a lot to add to that from the programmatic perspective. I'd love to answer it briefly from the facilities perspective. And the one word that comes to my mind immediately is flexible. I think we need spaces that are welcoming, inviting, and flexible, because we don't always know, right? Now, one of the things, you know, we have a amazingly supportive leadership group here, right? I think I was here 3 months and they sent me to Library Designs of the Future at Harvard, right? It was a week-long course that was very informative, discussed a lot of these issues, like what's changing in library services, what's changing in library spaces, and how do we incorporate that in a way that we're not locked in and dating ourselves, right? Lisa has also been to that course. Maureen's been to that course. Like we do invest in that kind of education, formally, but also through visiting other systems, right? For me, I'm a big fan of 2 systems. I'm a big fan of Columbus, Ohio as a system. I think it's gorgeous, it's simple, it's small, but well run. And for me, the Calgary Central Library is just gorgeous. And the way they interact with their community, the way they treat their First People is really inspiring to me. And so to me, those are the types of things that, from a facilities perspective, if we can bring that to the space where it's flexible, we treat our community with the utmost of respect, and that we are able to pivot as times change. So, I mean, that's from an infrastructure model for me.
Thank you, John. Yeah. And I would just add to that, when we embarked on Ocean View, Mission, and Chinatown in 2018 now, the program was entitled Library Improvements for Tomorrow. And some of the principles that we were operating with then still hold true now. We wanted to create flexible spaces. We wanted to create a more open and airy environment, greater transparency. I think what's important to note about Chinatown is that this is an original Carnegie Library. It's over 100 years old, so it's a jewel box. And this would not be the project to necessarily create the immersive technology that I shared from my visit to Taiwan. But what we are committed to is serving that neighborhood better. We have families that live in SROs. The library is effectively their community living room. So really looking at how we can transform the space for people to have more space to be in community with one another, to do the things that they want to do, contemplative study, co-working, being with their teen community, senior community, the programming. We're going to expand the community room so that we can do more in that space. Having a new art gallery space, opening up the roof so seniors can do Tai Chi or maybe enjoy the Wi-Fi, have spectacular views of the neighborhood that have not been available before. So I think to your point about thinking 2 years out or even further about what's possible, Ocean View, that will probably be the project where we can really set a new standard for library services that are more innovative and forward-looking.
So Whitney, I also want to share, and I think it's worth celebrating publicly. I had the opportunity to make an introduction between a friend of mine at Gensler and our library. So every year, Gensler has 15 interns. Gensler is a world-renowned design firm. Every summer, they have 15 summer interns. Every year, they give those summer interns a project. This year, over the 10-week internship period, those 15 interns here in the city will work on the SFPL as their project. So the idea is envisioning the future of the library as repositories of knowledge and thinking about that in the context of the world that we are operating in today with technology, computers in our pockets. So that's a fun introduction we've been able to make, and there will be a presentation that the interns make to Michael and to his staff of, or it's his team of talented folks, and maybe we should find a way to broaden that presentation.
Thank you all very much. And just as a side note, the library where I spent a lot of my time, we did a study with Gensler in 2016, and we're still calling on and using some of the information that they provided then. So not so much a vote for Gensler as much as being thoughtful about these exercises, which I know you all are. So thank you. Okay. Appreciate y'all. Now, sir, you may return to your seat. And now we turn our attention to item number 4. Discussion and possible action to approve our April 18th, 2026 Commission meeting minutes. We will open public comment on this item. As a reminder, please limit your public comment to this specific agenda item. Public comment is now open.
Yes, thank you, commissioners, and of course, stop the hate, stop the ignorance, don't give money to the Friends of the Library, don't accept money from the Friends of the Library. Under my general public comment, did I reference a prior meeting joke? It was a profound insight was my point. Also in the version of the minutes before you, it states, quote, he used a racial epithet and the chair halted the comment. That is outrageous and nothing like that happened. I quoted an aphorism, a saying from America's racial past to make a point. The chair attempted to stop me, and I insisted on finishing my point because I knew that indeed it would be considered objectionable if it was not demonstrated to be appropriate to the point I was making. Now, you are not stupid. Someone can quote blasphemy without being a blasphemer. Somebody can quote heresy without being a heretic. Someone can even quote Adolf Hitler without being a Nazi. I suppose I would apologize if I thought that you're that stupid. There's no contention that you're that stupid. I was not using a racial epithet. It was a quotation. Now, it is true that as far as understanding the point I was making, you might be too stupid for that, but that's a separate issue. If you demonstrated, if you distributed a recording of that meeting with my point edited out, you owe those people an apology, not me. Fortunately, in this country, we have a system that distills our social wisdom, protects our rights, and provides standards of conduct to attempt to resolve these issues. It is called the law. In San Francisco, the law is determined that when people have divergent or alternative views, their comments shall be included in the minutes. It is San Francisco Administrative Code 67.16, quote, any person speaking during a public comment period may supply a brief written summary of their comments. Now, I know you have a questionable view of include. You can't very well have a questionable view of shall. Shall is mandatory. I submitted 4 summaries for 4 separate comments shall be included in these minutes. What definition of include are you using to place my summaries where you have placed them? Thank you very much.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. These minutes have changed dramatically their format. They are, at least at points, giving some of what the commissioners are talking about. I would recommend to you, if you look in, I believe, the April 2016 minutes of the library, where they had somebody with a lower paid, lower esteemed title, they are much more extensive and informative than these minutes still are, and you have the intelligence and the ability to provide much more informative and fair minutes, which include the mandate to summarize what the public has said, and not to leave it so vague or so incomplete that it's not really clear what somebody says, or it's actually basically hiding it. With respect to my comments on public comment, requested fairer handling of relevancy during public comment, allowing clarification if time is stopped. The parenthesis part is relatively clear, but it also means that if there's a problem that you have with something somebody says, you need to explain it, and you need to let them continue or correct and or continue with what they're doing, or talk about something else. That's how certainly the supervisors handle it. I also said in particular, longstanding things that you have not recorded or summarized fairly. I cited court rulings, specifically, not just any court rulings, specific court rulings like what I mentioned earlier in general public comment, landmark rulings really, on the purposefully addictive design of social media and harm to teenagers. With respect to publicity practices, I offered specific examples of what I thought would be useful and why some of the publicity practices seem very unuseful for the public. With request to the February minutes, I talked about the library's uncritical recruitment of its patrons to technologies and less of library patron privacy ongoing. And so those are changes that I think you need to clarify and include, otherwise you're not fairly summarizing what public comment was made. Thank you.
Is there any additional public comment on this item? Okay. Hearing no request for further public comment is now closed. And we move to commission discussion and possible action on item number 4. Commissioners. Motion.
Motion to approve the February minutes.
I second.
I'll take the roll call. Commissioners, please say aye or no when I call your name. President Calhoun.
Aye.
Vice President Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Bolander.
Aye.
Commissioner Menon.
Aye.
Commissioner Keniston.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.